So I've really become fascinated with trees lately. Seriously. See, we had a storm recently here in Lexington, Kentucky, and all this crazy weather. And I was driving with my kids, and we were watching because there was tons of trees that had gotten knocked down. There's other trees that had gotten struck by lightning. It was a pretty destructive storm. And so as we were driving, I was just thinking about these trees, and I was kind of fascinated. I was like really fascinated with the thought of like, what's up, Lamont Carroll? I was fascinated with the thought of like, how long has that tree been there, right? Like this tree had gone through all these stages of life. It had grown to however far it had grown. And then just one day, wham, lightning strike and it's gone. Or a storm comes in and knocks this thing over. And so through that fascination, I've got this gift and this curse, right? Where I can see the world in unique ways, and I'm always trying to study, and I'm always trying to learn. And so, because of my fascination, this all of a sudden fascination with trees, I wanted to go do some research, and I wanted to go start like I study and just learn more about trees, right? That's I know I'm a nerd, all right. I'll just admit it, I'm a nerd. So I wanted to learn a little bit more. So I did some research. I found out some crazy things. Did you know that the oldest living organism on the planet is trees? So this is a grove in Utah. It's about 105 acres of aspen trees. And what's interesting is they are all genetically identical. Their root system completely intertwined. And they believe it's one big organism, the largest organism on the planet, and also the oldest at 80,000 years old. Isn't that crazy? I also learned as I was reading more about trees, I learned that trees will never grow beyond their means. They don't live beyond their means in any way, shape, or form. They'll grow within their means, and then they will stop. They will not allow themselves to topple over. Imagine if human beings would never grow beyond their means. Imagine that, like everybody's debt free, everybody in the country, right? Wouldn't that be neat? I also learned that trees actually have DNA. They actually have 7 times more DNA than we do as human beings, which I thought was really fascinating. And another thing that I learned about this tree. Have you ever heard of the sandbox tree? So the sandbox tree has these spikes on it, right? These spikes that you see here in these pictures, these are actually poisonous spikes to protect them from being destroyed from outside influences. They've got these poisonous spikes, and they grow these little fruits, these fruits that look sort of like a pumpkin. And once the pumpkin becomes full grown, it literally will explode like dynamite, making a loud popping sound and shooting the seeds up to 150 miles an hour. Up to 150 miles an hour. It will shoot these seeds out, spreading out so that it can grow more fruit. Isn't that incredible? You see, as we've walked through this series, Devouring Your Desires, we've looked at some awesome human beings. We've learned some incredible things. But today, I want us to take a lesson from the oldest and wisest organism on Earth. Fair enough? I've got a list for you. I think we've got 7 things, so we'll make sure to cruise so that we don't run late. Actually, I think we're doing pretty good on time right now, surprisingly enough. Because I've been having fun this morning. What's up, Sarah Ball? Great to see you. But I got a list of you. Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it, Whitney? I've got a list for you of 7 things. If you truly want to devour your desires in 2020, right? If you want 2020 to just be this incredible year, you want to blow up, you want to truly maximize and achieve your goals and reach some of your highest levels and some of your highest dreams. If you want to do that, we have to take lessons from some of the oldest, some of the wisest, some of the best, and some of the greatest. So today I've got 7 lessons that I've learned from the oldest and wisest organism on the planet. Trees. Yeah, I'm going to go there. The first thing that I learned is that in order for you to truly go out there and devour your desires, you have to make sure that you are deeply rooted. You see, we talked earlier in the week how Donnell teaches and instructs on creating a straight line, right? Making sure that you understand your mission, your vision, and your values. Making sure that all of your decisions fall in line with all three: mission, vision, and values. And in order to do that, you truly must have deep roots. You see, the tree stands, the part of the tree that you see is really only a third of the tree. 2/3 of the tree is underground. It's rooted in its system. It's weaved its way through. It knows what it believes in. You see, a tree grows on solid foundation. What I find is that we as humans tend to have wavering foundations. Sometimes we'll lean left, sometimes we'll lean a little right, depending on our circle, the people around us, our upbringing, the things that have happened in our life. And a lot of people are lost when it comes to foundationally. In order for you to really have a strong 2020, one that's different, one where you experience change in your life, I suggest you take a look at your roots. Are they planted deeply and firmly to be able to support your growth? You see, if you grow without roots, you'll topple. I don't want you to topple. So start to focus this year. Really think about it. Like, what are my roots? What are my core values? What are my core beliefs? What am I really passionate about? What is the 2/3 of me that no one else sees? And as you develop that system, you develop that strength. It's going to be the foundation for which you can grow on. The second thing that I want to take away from the oldest and wisest organisms to ever live on this entire planet is you, in order to really thrive and devour your desires, you're going to have to be a provider. You see, the trees of the world, they're providers. They provide shelter. They provide a place for people to rest. They provide food, and they nurture. They literally nurture all of us around the world. They provide heat. They provide paper. They're providers. As a human being, we have a responsibility. You see, we've been given this ability, this God-given ability, and now we also have a responsibility to provide for others. You see, I learned this the hard way. Grandma had to smack me on the face when I was sitting at the table having a conversation with her and my girlfriend at the time, and I couldn't understand why my girlfriend wouldn't go all in on Glenn Lundy, and my grandma made it very, very clear. Glenn Lundy, you're not much of a provider. You can't hold down a job. You're not doing very well financially. You tend to gamble a lot and drink a lot. You're a loose cannon. My grandma made it clear, in order for you to have strong relationships, in order for you to be a great leader, in order for you to be able to move people in your organization, you're going to have to be a provider. A safe place where people can come and they can rest when they're weary, where they know that you're going to provide and nurture and take care of them, be able to support them and energize them and lift them back up, be able to provide them with the fuel they need in order to keep going. You guys see where I'm going with this? I love it. If you truly want to devour your desires in 2020, you're going to have to work on becoming an incredible provider. We have a responsibility to impact other people's lives. The third thing that I learned from the trees that I'm going to share with you today is you must grow every single day as high as you can. See, this is one of the tallest trees in the world. It's actually not the tallest, it's the second tallest, but it's one of the tallest trees in the world. This is in Tasmania. It's in Tasmania and Australia, and what you'll notice is that this tree just keeps growing. It just keeps growing. There's no ceiling. There's nothing that's going to stop it. It's going to grow until something takes it down, right? It's going to grow until lightning comes or something happens and its life ends. It's just going to continue to grow. You see, we as human beings, we for some reason have this idea in our mind that we grow until a certain point and then we stop. And I guess because physically we only get to 6 feet tall, or Carrie Lynn Carter, I think she's like 3'8". I'm not sure how tall she is, but I think because physically we only grow to a certain height, we think that that's when we're done. When the reality of the situation is you should be growing every single day. Human beings are literally we're like the only organism on the planet that like finds a stopping point or thinks that there's a finish line. Everything else knows and understands that we got to keep going. This is an infinite game. As long as we exist here on this planet, we have purpose and we have the ability to get stronger and to get further and to grow taller and higher. Not taller physically, but you know what I'm saying, right? So we got to take lessons from the trees. You are not limited in your growth. You are not stuck. I don't care what job you're in now or how long you've been there. I don't care how far you've come with your relationship or how long you've been in your relationship. There's room for growth. There's room for things to get better. There's room for you to reach higher and go further. In order for you to truly devour your desires in 2020, you're going to have to keep growing. Never stop. The fourth thing that I want to share with you is that lessons from the trees. The fourth thing that I want to share with you is you're going to have to learn to adapt and weather the storms. You see, these trees, everybody knows that the trees will lose their leaves in the winter, that they will make an adaptation, that they will change their form and their structure. What a lot of people don't know is that the reason that they're doing this is they're actually going into it's a sort of hibernation. The tree goes into hibernation. It slows down all of its functions. It makes some changes physically. It makes the adaptations so that it can survive the cold weather, so that it can survive the storms. You'll also notice that trees in certain areas, like the palm trees that are in areas with a lot of hurricanes and so on and so forth, they're designed to be able to bend, to be able to flow. They'll change their leaf structures during hurricane seasons, right? They'll make those adaptations. We as human beings need to understand that there are storms coming. I need you to get that. No matter how foundationally you set your life, no matter how on purpose and mission and vision you stay on, there are outside influences. The storms will come. Are you prepared to adapt? Are you going to huddle in the corner and just out of fear? You see, as we adapt and we mold and we change, we have this ability to weather the storms. There's things going on in the auto industry right now. We've got Carvana and Amazon and all these other big players that are starting to step into an industry that's been pretty much the same for a really long time. And as these storms are coming, those dealers, my partners, my friends that are going to be willing to adapt, that are ready to make the changes, that are ready to enforce and protect and continue to stay on our solid foundation but have some waver and some sway, are the ones that are going to be able to survive and weather the storm. In order for you to do so in 2020, you're going to have to do the same. The next thing that I learned from my friends, the trees, as weird as that sounds, the next thing that I learned from my friends, the trees, is you need to be patient. You see, these trees right here are anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 years old. And over that time, they continue to grow and get stronger and stronger. Their root systems continue to go deeper and deeper. These are in California. They're the California redwoods. Some of the largest trees, are the tallest trees in the world. And so the lesson that I learned from these trees here is you're going to have to be patient. As long as you're growing and you're stacking and you're layering every day, you're continuing to dig those roots as deep as you can, you're going to build strength. You're going to get bigger and better and better and better. But it doesn't happen overnight. See, so many of you try, you want, you rush, you're impatient, you want it now. And we haven't developed the root system yet. We haven't developed your trunk yet. You don't have that core foundation. And so you grow too fast and you topple. Be patient. When you implement new strategies in your business, be patient. Let them have time to develop. As you put people in positions and places in your organization, be patient. Allow those people to develop. As you are applying the morning five every single day and trying to not hit the snooze button and not grab your phone, be patient. These things will develop over time. You'll create these habits that will ultimately affect you for a lifetime. It'll make you so strong. If you just slow down and be patient, it'll make you so strong, like a redwood. I love this. The sixth thing that I want to share with you is you must allow, just like our trees, our friends the trees do, you're going to have to allow your rings to make you strong. You see, every ring that you see on a tree is a season, okay? Not all trees have rings, but the ones that have rings, it's because they live in a seasonal place. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's winter, sometimes it's summer, right? So each ring is a season. That's how you can count the years on a tree. Now, if you look here, you'll see some of the gaps are wider than others. Some are thin and some are wide. Well, a wide gap means that there was a lot of water, there was a lot of nutrients, it was an awesome spring or a summer, and so the tree grew a lot. The thin gaps means that it wasn't that good, it was a tough season, and so the tree didn't have that much growth. But as you can see, as each layer of growth, as each ring, each season, each experience is what actually makes the tree strong. You see, the experiences you have in your life, the good ones and the bad ones, those are your core strength. That's what makes you strong in the long run. Your story, like we talked about with Devour. You see, I spent time in the streets homeless. That made me stronger. I reached a point in my life where I wanted to take my own life. That experience has made me stronger. I've been broke, impoverished. That experience has made me stronger. I lost custody of my 6-year-old daughter. That experience has made me stronger. Your rings, the experiences that God allows you to go through, are where you ultimately get your strength. So as you go through some short seasons and some better seasons, don't quit, but allow those seasons to continue to make you strong. And the last thing I want to share with you before we get out of here today is, in order for you to really devour your desires in 2020, not all trees have rings. That's right, Rick. Only the ones that are in climates that have seasons. The last thing I want to share with you, in order to really devour your desires, have an incredible 2020, is you must understand that we are all connected. This tree grove right here, there's a gentleman that did a study, and he found out that these trees right here actually communicate with each other. They actually protect each other. Their root system, because it's kind of shaded, there's not a whole lot of sun that gets to the ground. When there's new sucklings, new little trees that are trying to develop, their root system will actually feed sugars and nutrients from the older trees into the younger trees to help them grow. Also, whenever there's caterpillars that are eating on their leaves, the trees will actually emit a smell that will draw in wasps. The wasps will then come in and eat the caterpillars to protect the trees. You see, what looks like a bunch of individuals is actually this network of brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, children of all shapes, sizes, and ages. They're all connected, and we're all together. Just like you and me, my friend. You see, you're my brother. You're my sister. You and I were children of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything, made us to be the absolute best versions of ourselves that we could possibly be. And I know you're working on it, and I'm working on it, and we're doing it, man. We're doing it. We're watching hashtag Rise and Grind. We're sharing this stuff out. We're inviting people into the group. We're making changes in our life. We're doing the morning 5, all of those things. And I want to encourage you today that those decisions that you're making, they're making an impact. They really are. It's making an impact on your friends, on your family members, on your co-workers. Today, you've made a massive impact on me. Just by showing up means the world to me. Truly does. So continue to go out there. Understand we are all connected. It's like we talked about at the very beginning of the show. I believe my purpose in this life is to impact, influence, make other people's lives better. That's why we're here. That's what that dash is about. Never lose focus on that.